Good morning, everyone. The time is right around 8 o'clock this morning, and we are jumping into a streaming live update because we want to talk a little bit more in detail about what we can expect as we go into the weekend. And I know the hype is going to be there, folks. It's the first potential opportunity to see snow of this season. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say that you're going to see a lot of snow in your area. In fact, I'm not even going to, with this streaming update, officially show you what we're kind of planning ahead for our snowfall forecast. I kind of want to wait just a little bit later until we have a few more model runs that come in, but I am feeling a little bit more confident that we are going to be seeing a big change in our forecast, short-lived, for the early part of next week. So let's jump ahead and let's talk about your weather headlines. We still have to talk about the potential for some showers and thunderstorms tonight. So your first weather headline is mentioning the warm and breezy conditions as we go forward throughout the rest of the day. Winds coming out of the southwest could potentially see gusts up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So the wind is going to be noticeable. We go into the evening hours tonight, and we'll continue to have the chance for showers and thunderstorms. At one point this morning, the Storm Prediction Center had pushed the level 1 risk primarily across parts of the plateau. And since then, they have re-expanded it to now include almost all of East Tennessee. So it's very similar to what the Storm Prediction Center was showing yesterday. So some showers and thunderstorms tonight. I'm not overly confident that we're going to see, quote unquote, severe weather, but we could have some pretty gusty winds with this system. So we may see some special weather statements outside of those severe thunderstorm warnings. The greater threat for severe weather is closer to Nashville, but across parts of the plateau, we could see some of these storms get to be a little bit on the feisty side. Most of your Saturday looks great. So Saturday looks really nice. Sunday, you're going to head out the door Sunday morning, maybe going to church, work, wherever you're going to be heading off to, and you're going to go, oh, it feels not that bad outside this morning. Like, it's great. But Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, those temperatures will continue to drop. And on the backside of this system, we're going to have much colder air in place. With that colder air in place, there is the possibility that we could see some of this precipitation left over come down in the form of some wintry weather. But keep in mind, folks, days leading up to this, we're talking about highs in the 70s. So ground surface temperatures will be warmer. So accumulating snow, harder surfaces, not going to be as much of an issue. This always tends to be a little tricky when we get into this time of year when you have warmer weather and then you get this big dramatic cold front that sneaks in, and it can just kind of sometimes take you by surprise. Speaking of, when we talk about the forecast for tonight, we do have the chance for some showers and thunderstorms. So again, earlier this morning, the Storm Prediction Center had this primarily across parts of the plateau, pushing into parts of Middle Tennessee. That is where I will say the greater threat for severe weather is going to be in place. Gusty winds, again, could see wind gusts up to 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. If we see a wind gust over 60 miles per hour, then that is going to qualify as a severe thunderstorm warning. But gusty winds will primarily be the biggest concern. And then after this system moves out, it looks like the rest of your night and into your Saturday, not too bad. So let's kind of break down your Futurecast, and I'm going to add a few pause points to this. So let me kind of take this back. We may see a few spotty showers as early as late afternoon, early evening. So we might have some rain that makes its way across parts of the plateau. This is kind of some prefrontal showers, just kind of like a little bit of an appetizer ahead of the main course. We get closer to around 8 o'clock. Now this is, again, after sunset. Our sunset tonight is right around 5:30. So this will be dark, and we'll have the chance for maybe some stronger storms pushing their way across parts of Fentress and Cumberland counties. This is kind of the area, if we were to see some severe thunderstorms, this is kind of where I'm highlighting it a little bit closer to home. Let me take this back into parts of Knox County. So by let's say 9, 10, 11, we'll start to see this line pushing its way into parts of Knox County. And by this point, I do expect that it's going to be primarily just heavy rain, perhaps wind gusts up to around 30, 40 miles per hour, and then it'll push up into the higher elevations. The rest of your Saturday, really nice, more sunshine. We have a birthday party tomorrow, outdoors, should be great. We go into your Sunday. Sunday will start off relatively quiet, but along comes this cooler air, and you will just notice from morning to evening some big changes in the forecast, and this is going to arrive as we go into your Sunday night. And wow, actually, this model has backed off a little bit on some of the forecasts when it comes to snow. When I was showing this morning, it was definitely picking up on way more snow coverage than what it's showing right now. As I told you folks, this is kind of why, oh, there we go. It just didn't go out far enough. So Sunday night, I don't know why that didn't go out as far. Okay, so here's a look at your Sunday. We go into the early evening, Sunday night, and into your Monday. You notice it's primarily into the higher elevations. So I feel more confident talking about the potential for snow across the plateau and across the higher elevations. You know, in East Tennessee, we always say the horseshoe. So going up here, all the way around here, and then bloop, right over there across parts of the plateau. This is where I'm like, you may see some minor accumulations. Perhaps maybe up into the higher elevations, we're talking 1 to 3 inches of snow. Lower elevations and into parts of the valley, not going to be as much. So question I know from a lot of people already, is there going to be school on Monday? We have no control over that. We do not get to control whether or not there is school. That is all going to be up to school officials, and I have a feeling that this is probably going to be super dependent on where your children attend school. Winds today, let's kind of backtrack and let's talk quickly about today, and then we'll go more into the snowier weather in just a little bit. So winds today going to be rather breezy. We'll have wind gusts up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour. The wind is going to be noticeable today, so if you do have any outdoor plans, I coach soccer tonight, the wind's going to be blowing all over the place, so just be prepared for that. And then as that cold front moves in, we'll start to watch those winds transition behind this frontal boundary. Y'all, it looks really nice. Tomorrow for your Saturday, we'll see some cloud cover for the start of the day, gradually continuing to see more sunshine as we go into the afternoon. Still expecting high temperatures on your Saturday to be in the lower 70s. This is why my concern for accumulating snow on harder surfaces is not as much of an issue. Let's say if we had this same setup coming into our area and we had multiple days in a row with temperatures overnight freezing, highs in the 40s. I mean, like what you would expect, quote unquote, more so in the winter. Yeah, this would probably be more of an issue with some accumulating snow in place, but it's kind of a tricky little system. This is usually what it happens this time of year. So we're not being taken by surprise, folks. We're going to continue to look at, again, our first frost and our first freeze, because I also have had quite a few people tell me, they're like, this seems really early on in the season to have freezing temperatures. And actually, our average first freeze is November 2nd. So today's November 7th. So if anything, I mean, we're almost going to be a week behind what is our average first freeze. The earliest can happen in October, the latest in December. So we're actually kind of right on time for where we should be this time of year. So I don't want you to think that, oh my gosh, this is the start of what's going to be a crazy winter. No, not necessarily the case, but sometimes it is just a nice, exciting way to enter into some of these kind of bursts of winter flare. Let's talk a little bit more about your weather impacts. So your weather impacts as we go into your Monday and Tuesday, whether or not you see snow in your area, these frigid temperatures, folks, will be very impactful across the region. We're going to continue to see temperatures staying into the 30s as we go into your Monday. That doesn't even include wind chill. So wind chill factors could be staying below freezing all day. We want to remind you to maybe this weekend get your gloves, your hats, your sweatshirts, your jackets, all the layers ready to go. I don't think you're going to have to pull out the snow pants or sleds just yet, but I'm definitely going to want to have those layers ready to go. A widespread freeze is going to be likely both Monday and Tuesday morning, so make sure that you are, again, covering up your sensitive plants. Maybe go outside and get your hose ready to go. Make sure that everything is drained so you don't run into any of the possibility of seeing your pipes burst, because that is just not fun. Another thing to keep in mind is your cold weather safety. So it's the 5 Ps. We want to highlight people, pets, plants, pipes, and practice fire safety. So remember, get your layers ready to go. Make sure you and your furry friends have an appropriate place to stay nice and warm, a water source that will not freeze. Cover up your sensitive plants outside. Let those pipes drip, or I should say faucets drip, especially if they're on an exterior wall. Again, this is going to be short-lived, but something to really keep in mind even for the rest of the season. Make sure you drain your hoses outside so you avoid seeing any of those from freezing. And as always, practice fire safety, folks. There are the right and the wrong ways to stay nice and warm. If you do not have a place to stay warm, there are going to be multiple warming shelters that are also in place here across East Tennessee. So now that we talked about the cold weather, let's highlight what our long-range models are showing when it comes to snowfall. I showed these yesterday. So this is our GFS. This is one of our long-range models. Now this model, in comparison to our other model, is not as excited as the potential for snow. I like the chance that it is showing most of our snow into the higher elevations. This is where I would say my confidence is highest, but this is kind of where I think our thought process is leaning towards. Now, when you see this, I don't want you to get freaked out by the numbers. If anything, folks, I think we'll see some flurries across the Central Valley, might see some minor accumulations into the plateau, and then up into the higher elevations of the Smokies. I would expect that we'll see perhaps up to 1 to 3 inches of snow. So I kind of like the coloring of this model more. Another thing to keep in mind, folks, is that bridges, overpasses where you can get that cold air underneath, shady spots that don't get to see a bunch of sunshine. This is where we could run into some slippery conditions, especially late Sunday into Monday. If any of this precip comes down originally as rain, we might see some of that become a little bit of an issue as we go into your Monday morning. So we will, by tonight, our whole weather team, we're going to have our snowfall forecast that is going to be released, but I just didn't want to quite give you all those numbers just yet, just because I think we want to adjust it a little bit more. Looking ahead one more time to your 7-day forecast. High temperatures today, going to be getting back into the lower 70s. We're back into the 70s tomorrow. So again, that is where my concern for accumulating snow just kind of goes down a little bit. So roads, surfaces, sidewalks, not going to see a lot of accumulating snow. Flurry is going to be possible. I can only imagine Monday that we are going to be inundated with hundreds of pictures of people sending in some of their snow. So it's just going to be, a busy day. But thankfully, when it comes to the impacts that we're going to see from this snow, I don't foresee the impacts to be as bad as what they could be. So that's why our weather impact alert days are primarily for the cold temperatures. That's going to be dangerous, these frigid temperatures. Thankfully, it's short-lived as we get back into the upper 50s as we go into your Wednesday and Thursday. So we do have some beautiful, nice weather to look forward to by the middle part of next week. Thanks again for joining us, folks. We're going to continue to do more of these streaming updates as we go into the weekend, and you can always follow along for more updates tonight. But just now, use this time while it's still nice outside to get outside and enjoy these nice temperatures, and also plan ahead and prepare for next week. Have a great day.